You ever ask yourself if it was just you? One trip across America, one not-so-great meal. Perhaps the fries weren't hot. Perhaps the server wasn't nice. Or perhaps it was that final bill that made you question, was it even worth it? Here's the truth, it's not you. Across Canada, travelers are quietly striking some American restaurants from their destination list, and the numbers bear it out. In the past year alone, American big-box chains lost over $150 million in Canadian tourism revenue. That's not bad luck. That's a trend. And it's not a bad night in the kitchen once. This is deeper. Menus that have been the same for decades, prices creeping into luxury territory, and quality that simply doesn't live up to what Canadians expect at home. Down south, meanwhile, the competition is thriving. Independent brunch cafes, hip seafood bars, craft burger places, restaurants with responsibly sourced, clean-label food in bright, inviting spaces are blazing. When Canadians compare those to what's available just south of the border, more and more they're wondering, why bother? So here today, we're breaking down the 6 biggest U.S. chains Canadians are abandoning in large numbers. And let me tell you, when we reach number 2, you'll see why even die-hard fans had to give up. If you've ever driven over for a snack and had regrets, give that like button. And if you're curious about being in the know about how food culture is evolving on both sides of the border, subscribe. Because the story you're about to hear is one of American titans losing their grip, and why Canadians aren't turning back. Number 6, TGI Fridays. There was a time when the appearance of a TGI Fridays sign in the distance was exciting. Loud music, welcoming servers, and that certain string of American comfort food. For Canadians, it was most often the first stop after arriving in the States, a lead into the celebration to be found on the journey. But now that vibrancy is lost, the buzz is lost. What was once a lively, energetic dining space is now subdued, stodgy, even half-empty. The menu hasn't kept pace either. The bold, playful flavors have been traded in for the same greasy burgers, salty appetizers, and frozen vegetables. What was fresh is now just retro. And here lies the problem. Nostalgia doesn't work anymore. In Canada, the casual dining scene has evolved. Farm-to-table menus, clean-label products, food plated as nicely as it's prepared, all for prices that check out as fair. That's the new norm. TGI Fridays simply hasn't kept pace. The interior is trapped in the early 2000s, the presentation of the food is stuffy, and the quality doesn't equal what Canadians are willing to pay. In fact, border town sites have had fewer Canadian plates on their lots. Repeat visitors see prices increasing, menus remaining the same, and the excitement lost. At the end of the day, going out to eat is supposed to be an experience. But TGI Fridays, it's married to a memory, and for Canadian visitors, that just isn't enough anymore to get them in the door. Number 5, Panda Express. For years, Panda Express was a fixture of Canadians traveling through the U.S., whether it was a road trip across the country or a wander through an American mall. The bright orange chicken, quick counter service, and consistent flavors were like being along for the ride. But lately, that flame has flickered low. What was once exciting is now cloyingly sweet, syrup over chicken, for instance. The steam trays linger too long, noodles glued together and vegetables soggy. And that glistening stir-fry you see on the menu board, it oftentimes doesn't quite appear as such when it lands in your paper box. It's not only about picky eaters. Statistics don't lie. Initial 2025 food statistics revealed a stunning 41% drop in Canadian business in U.S. Panda Express outlets, specifically those near border strip malls and interstate rest stops. And social media is fueling the indignation. An overnight internet sensation was "Canada deserves better stir-fry," a Vancouver couple's blog to which hundreds of Canadians added their own Panda Express grievances. What was formerly waved off as just mall food has come to be seen as an overpriced shortcut in a food culture trending towards freshness and authenticity. In Canada, meanwhile, Asian fusion restaurants and food trucks are booming, serving up wok-fresh goodness packed with crunchy vegetables, pungent spices, and homemade-tasting sauces. Paled next to that, Panda Express is a relic, a saccharine imitation of what it could have been. Convenience is no longer adequate for Canadians. If the flavor's lacking, the customers aren't. Number 4, Dairy Queen, U.S. locations. For many Canadians, Dairy Queen was a dessert drive-thru, but it was also tradition. Families would swarm out of the car driving to somewhere else, order up a blizzard, and have that taste of summer in their mouth no matter what the season. It wasn't food, it was nostalgia. But in recent times, that magic has been wearing off, literally at times. Customers report of dripping soft serves before even the table is reached, freezer-burned ice cream cakes, and burgers that have been tasted as if they have been warmed in a microwave. And this isn't the result of a single or two unfortunate visits. In the last year, Canadian expenditures at American Dairy Queen stores have fallen by almost 35%. The primary cause? An increasing difference in quality between Canadian and U.S. locations. Here in Canada, DQ has stuck pretty close to its standards. Across the border, though, there are thinner lines, older equipment, and a generally evident lack of care. One Quebec family's TikTok was the ideal encapsulation: sticky tables, half-melted cones, and a manager who shrugged when asked about it. The video struck a chord, as thousands of Canadians flocked to the comments to relate that they'd had similar experiences. Here in the States, dessert life is booming. Small-batch ice cream shops, artisanal gelato cafes, and trendy dessert boutiques are serving up clean ingredients and social media-worthy presentation. Against that backdrop, American Dairy Queen locations appear careless, antiquated, and untrustworthy. And when your entire brand is predicated on nostalgia, consistency isn't an option, it's everything. And for Canadians, Dairy Queen in America just isn't dishing up the memory they were hoping for. Number 3, Outback Steakhouse. A little while ago, spotting an Outback Steakhouse billboard on an American highway was somewhat of an adventure. For Canadian road trippers, it was a peculiar Aussie-themed oasis in the middle of an American road trip. Giant steaks, huge portions, and of course, that gigantic bloomin' onion. It was all part of the thrill. Yet lately, that quest has fallen short. Steaks too often arrive overcooked or bland. The sides taste like they were scooped right from a freezer bag. And that signature onion appetizer, more often than not, it's an oil-soaked experience instead of a crunchy delight. The numbers don't lie. 2024 travel polls saw a 31% drop in planned Canadian excursions to Outback locations across the U.S., and the issue isn't just the food, it's the value. Canadians have found they can get fresher cuts, better sides, and a classier dining experience in their own country, sometimes for lower prices. Social media has only made the decline faster. A Calgary couple's viral TikTok showed a $38 steak that looked like it had lost a fight with a microwave. The video racked up more than 200,000 views, and the comments were flooded with Canadians saying, "For this price, I'll stay in Canada." Meanwhile, Canadian steakhouses are thriving, from upscale chop houses to farm-to-table grills. They're serving up locally raised meats, seasonal vegetables, and menus that actually seem special and innovative. Outback built its reputation on novelty and size, but these days it's quality and freshness that actually draw people in. And for Canadians, that's worth so much more than a cheesy Aussie accent and a plate so big it reaches across the table. Number 2, Red Lobster. For years, Red Lobster had a simple pitch to Canadians willing to make the border hop. Come for the seafood, stay for the comfort of the warm, buttery cheddar biscuits. For many, it was a tradition, dining on lobster tails, cracking into crab legs, or going whole pig on the endless shrimp promotion. But somewhere along the line, the magic vanished. The biscuits often arrive cold, the lobster can be rubbery, and the dining rooms do not feel so much like a special night out as a tired banquet hall. What used to feel indulgent now feels industrial. And the problems are not just perception. In early 2025, Red Lobster filed for bankruptcy protection in the United States after years of declining sales and widespread closures. Canadians were already disappearing from its booths well in advance of that. An Ontario travel behavior study discovered that only 8% of Canadian road trippers ate at Red Lobster in the past year, down from nearly 30% 10 years previously. Why the plunge? Seafood has leveled up in Canada. West Coast oyster bars feature catch of the day just hours after leaving the water. Lobster rolls and coastal chowders on the East Coast pack more flavor than anything that comes out of a chain kitchen. Even Red Lobster's familiar staples don't impress anymore. Endless shrimp no longer feels indulgent, it feels like a challenge. In an era where visitors hunger for authenticity, ambience, and freshness, Red Lobster's faded interiors and menu predictability just can't keep up. And as much as those biscuits are nostalgic, they're not enough to make up for a dining experience that itself feels like it's been frozen in time. Number 1, McDonald's. U.S. locations. Number 1, McDonald's, U.S. locations. For generations, McDonald's was the world's symbol of familiarity. No matter if you were in Toronto, Tokyo, or Texas, those golden arches promised the same fries, the same burgers, the same quick and predictable service. For Canadians who ventured across the border, it was always a welcoming pit stop, a taste of home in another country. But that comfort is disappearing. More and more, Canadians are finding themselves disappointed by the McDonald's experience in the United States. The fries taste differently, often greasier, less crispy. The burgers sometimes come lukewarm, without the fresh, polished look you'd expect from the commercials. Dining rooms appear darker, dirtier, and slower to be cleaned. And the contrast pains because McDonald's Canada has been heading in the opposite direction. Fresh ingredients, updated interiors, digital kiosks, sustainability initiatives. The chain has been steadily improving north of the border. U.S. locations look like they're stuck in a time warp by comparison. The numbers bear it out. In the past 12 months alone, Canadian spending at U.S. McDonald's is down nearly 29%, and social media has been unkind. A viral TikTok series, Canada versus U.S. McDonald's, put the two side by side and compared everything from freshness to taste to packaging. Category after category, the U.S. version fell short. For the world's most iconic fast food chain, that's worse than a negative review. That's a dangerous perception problem. McDonald's built its entire reputation on consistency. And when guests begin to expect disappointment instead of familiarity, the golden arches lose their shine. For a majority of Canadians, the solution is simple. Skip the stop south of the border and wait until they're home to get their McDonald's fix. From everyday diners to global celebrities, American chains are learning the hard way that Canadian loyalty can't be taken for granted. The food has to be worth the trip. So now it's your turn. What U.S. restaurant have you sworn off for good? Tell us in the comments below. And if you liked this analysis of how food culture is changing, click that like button and subscribe for more in-depth explorations of the restaurants that are defining our dining options on both sides of the border.